What's up, guys? This is Corey. Welcome to CNA Films and Animation. Today I'm going to be talking about the next two Harry Potter movies. So next films are Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix and Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. So let's get started with Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. This one came out in 2007 and was directed by David Yates. And, it starred Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson. A lot of the same characters are back and everything from all the previous films. Maggie Smith, Alan Rickman, just the list goes on. And then we have a couple new faces, including Imelda Staunton and Helen Bonham Carter. So Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix was the longest book in the entire book series, and yet this is one of the shortest Harry Potter movies. Does it really add up and everything? I haven't read the book, so I'm not entirely sure, but I can tell you this much: it does have quite a few faults to it. So let me try to delve into the main story a little bit. So Harry is still being chased by the Dementors, and he is forced to use magic outside of the school to save his cousin, and this causes a lot of controversy. The Order of the Phoenix, they are a group. Their main goal is to try to keep peace and everything. Well, I don't know if they're trying to keep peace, but they're mainly trying to get rid of Harry Potter because he did magic outside the school, and did it in the presence of a Muggle, and it's not really looking good for Harry. The threat of Voldemort is even higher with this film after he killed Robert Pattinson in the fourth movie, and his rising back and everything. Everybody's terrified. They're not sure when he's going to strike. How big of an army he's going to build and everything. They just know that a threat's coming, and this causes them to start building themselves an army. Harry Potter organizes this group called Dumbledore's Army, and their main goal is to, use witchcraft and everything to, train everybody at the school to become powerful wizards to fight Voldemort. And all the while, a new professor is at the school who is quickly becoming one of the most prestigious people. She's pretty much taking over Hogwarts, and not in a good way. She is definitely kind of a bitch, and she's going to do whatever she can to become pretty much Dumbledore. Just run the entire school. And so she keeps enforcing these new rules left and right, and and Harry Potter and everybody has to try and figure out how to continue with their army and not be caught. So there are some good things with this movie. First off, the visuals are spectacular. They are definitely top-notch, very well done. The tone of the movie is pretty solid too. It's got a nice flow of comedy and darkness and everything, and it works fine for what it's going for. The acting is really good as well. All these movies have fantastic acting, and this one's no different. I'd say that the overall scope of the movie is pretty solid too. I enjoyed watching this movie. Not particularly an overall favorite, but I still think it's pretty good for fifth movie in a series. Some complaints that I have is that, one, this movie is very short, and not in a good way. It definitely touches on different things here and there, but I don't think it actually delves into it enough for outside viewers to really understand what's going on. Like Dumbledore's Army, they don't even mention it until much later in the movie, so you have no idea what they're, what's going on for that entire sequence when they're training. It also seems like they focus a lot on stuff that just doesn't seem all that important. They focus heavily on the professor who's taking over Hogwarts. While that is a pretty important part for this movie, I do think it isn't nearly as important as, say, stuff that's going on with Voldemort, or, even just preparing for it overall. So I think, one of the major faults with it is that, the adaptation from book to movie just didn't really mesh well, because there's a lot of confusing moments in this movie. They mention things and it just doesn't feel like they explain it enough. So, I mean, I've watched this a couple times and I still don't fully understand everything that's going on, but, hey, it's visually interesting, so I'm pretty much invested, but it's just it has its moments, but for the most part, it is relatively confusing for outside viewers who didn't read the book, like myself. Other than that, I mean, a couple of nitpicking type of things, but that's my biggest complaint. Otherwise, it's a pretty solid film. I did enjoy it. First time I saw it, I didn't like it, but after seeing it, second and third time, I'm like, okay, this isn't too bad, but first time I saw it, I hated it, and it definitely improved after seeing it a couple times. But it is one of those movies that you have to see a couple times, I suppose. Overall, I think I'll give this movie an 8 out of 10. I did enjoy it. I thought it was pretty solid, even though that it's pretty much a confusing movie and much too short for what it should be. Uh, you know, they had to split up the last film into two different movies, and then this one being the longest book, they only made like one of the shortest movies out there. So it's kind of disappointing in that aspect, but you know what? Still pretty solid. One other thing about Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, huge spoiler if you haven't seen it. So in fact, if you don't want to know about it, even though you probably already know about it, but still, I don't want to ruin it for you, I'm just going to go ahead and, say mute this until, the word spoiler disappears, because I just don't want to ruin it for people who haven't seen the movie or read the book. But anyway, yeah. One of the biggest things with the fifth book, which makes it pretty important, is that they kill off Sirius Black, who is Harry's godfather. And, it's pretty much a big surprise. I mean, Sirius Black, played by Gary Oldman, he was a favorite character of mine from the third film. And, it's unfortunate to see him die, but, I do think that it was pretty important to the story. So, props to that. I'm glad they kept that in there, because, it was pretty important. Unfortunate to see him die, though. So now I'm going to talk about the second movie of tonight, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. This one came out in 2009, and it pretty much starred everybody else from the previous films. And this one follows Harry Potter. He is, he's still building the army for Voldemort. And, this one's probably the most confusing and the most, the hardest to watch film of the series. And pretty much from what I've gathered from watching it, plot-wise, it's about Harry Potter. He's building the army. You know, things happen here and there. Voldemort's getting more powerful. They're pretty much setting up the entire thing to basically, huge spoiler alert, mute it if you haven't seen the movie or read the book. Yeah, I didn't want to spoil this for you, so, mute the thing if you haven't seen it. It says spoilers here. I don't want to spoil it for you. In fact, I'm going to cover my mouth so that way, you don't even have to read my lips. They kill off Dumbledore in this movie. That's right, folks. One of the biggest surprises with this movie, and it is rather shocking to have such an important character be killed off like that. And, it's just, wow. And, yeah, so this is one of those movies that it's like building up to just the climactic moment near the end of the film, and honestly, I really didn't get anything out of the first 2 hours of the movie. It's not like Goblet of Fire, where the first 2 hours was just unimportant. This one was more important, but it was so confusing and so like conversation driven that it just felt odd to me, and it kind of weared on my patience a little bit. I truly did feel the full 2.5 hours with this movie. In fact, I watched it twice to see if I missed anything, and it was still too confusing for me. You know, I don't know if that had to do with the writing, if it had to do with the story. I really don't know. Maybe I just couldn't get into it, but this one was very difficult for me to get into. So, with the exception of the climactic moment near the end, it really just did not seem like it was all that important, although they do reveal a very important key to the entire series, mainly being one of the main characters being the Half-Blood Prince. But yeah, I mean, the film had fantastic cinematography, very well acted. It was even nominated for Best Cinematography by the Academy Awards. So, I mean, it really was very good. It's just too much, I don't know what. I just had a hard time getting into this one. So, yeah. Gonna have to give this one like a 7 out of 10, even though the climactic moment near the end is rather shocking and just, one of the more important moments of the entire series. But yeah, tell me guys, have you seen Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, or even Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince? What'd you think of them? Did you like them? Did you dislike them? What were your thoughts on both films? Just share your thoughts, comment below, let me know. Love to hear your feedback. If you like this video, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe. Be sure to check out our other videos. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And as always, I am Corey, and I'll see you guys in the next one.